Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for our Fall 2025 What's New in CommCare webinar. My name is Amy Vaccaro. I'm Senior Director of Product Marketing for CommCare here at Dimagi, and we are so excited to have you here today. Our theme for this webinar and for the year has been all about making CommCare more accessible than ever. And we've got some fantastic new updates that do just that. Over the next hour, we'll dive into the vision driving our product, demo some of the powerful new capabilities that have come out in CommCare, and show you how CommCare is evolving to help you deliver impact in a rapidly changing world. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who might be new to our work, welcome. At its heart, CommCare is the digital platform for impactful frontline work everywhere. It empowers organizations like yours to build your own mobile, web, and even messaging applications, to deliver services, manage clients, and collect data, even in the most remote offline settings. We're proud to say there are CommCare users in over 130 countries, and over 1 million people have used apps built on CommCare to date. As I mentioned, I'm Amy Vaccaro. I'll be your host for the hour, and I'm thrilled to be joined by two of my amazing colleagues. First, you're going to hear from Cowger, our Director of Technology and Product for CommCare. He's joining us from Washington, D.C., and he'll be sharing the vision that's driving CommCare's innovation, as well as share the thinking behind all the great new capabilities that we'll be showing off today. Then the majority of our demos will be led by Rishabh Rath, our Director of CommCare Sales Engineering, who's joining us from New Delhi, India. Rishabh will be bringing our new features to life for you today. So welcome to Kai and Rishabh. We also have Aaron Quinn, Sarah Strauss, and Michael Kelleher from the CommCare team, who are available to answer questions behind the scenes. And I'll share a quick look at our agenda for today. So first, Kai will be kicking us off, sharing the vision driving CommCare's innovation. Then we'll dive into the feature updates, and we frame them around the key challenges that we're hearing about from you every single day: how to do more with leaner teams, how to navigate growing global complexity, and how to maximize your impact with tighter budgets. We'll make sure to save some time at the end for Q&A, but we'll also be answering questions in Zoom as they come through. So feel free to, as questions come to you, drop them into the Q&A box, and we've got a whole team here to answer your questions as you go. We'd love to hear from you. And before we dive in, we want to take a moment to hear from each of you. We're about to launch a quick poll on your screen with 3 questions. First, are you using CommCare today? Second, how much experience do you have with the platform? And finally, what sector are you working in? So take the next 15, 30 seconds or so to respond. This will really help us get a better sense of who's in the room with us today. So the poll has ended, and Malcolm, if you're able to share the results for folks to see. Looks like about 3/4 of folks are using CommCare today, so that's great to know. The rest of you are split between considering using it, or having not used it before and considering, or using it before and considering it again. In terms of experience level, it looks like about 20% of folks have not used CommCare before, which is great. Welcome. 50% of you have used it for a year or two, and then the rest, wow, we've got actually a bit of a cohort at 5 to 7 years of experience. That's awesome. Welcome. Really glad to have you here. And then in terms of sectors, I am seeing a pretty big split across all different sectors: livelihoods, maternal, newborn, and child health, humanitarian response, community health. Yeah, just a really wide range of sectors here. So that's awesome to see. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking a moment to just kind of share where you're coming from and who's in the room. That's really helpful for us. So thank you. All right. So with that, I'd love to introduce Kai, who's going to share with us the vision driving the CommCare product team's work. Over to you, Kai.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so before we dive into the specific updates, I do want to share a little bit of the why behind our work, especially since we haven't done one of these webinars in a while. and the vision also that's guiding a lot of this work. So CommCare has always been known for its power and its flexibility, but we've begun to recognize that that power is meaningless if it's difficult to unlock. So this year, we made a significant strategic shift on the team. We redirected our focus away from adding new layers of complexity and instead are now laser focused on refining our core platform and just make it more intuitive. Our goal is to simplify that path to impact so that any organization, regardless of its technical capacity or size, can realize value from day one. And I'm incredibly proud to say that this new focus has already had a massive impact this year. This new focus has tripled the rate of new users successfully getting through the core actions on our platform within the first 7 days. So it's a huge testament to some of this amazing work that our team has been up to this year, but also the amazing work that our partners have been up to as well. So everything you're about to see today is a direct result of this vision, and that vision is directly tied to solving some of these real world challenges that we've heard from you all over time. So to walk you through exactly what those challenges are and set that stage before we get into the product updates themselves, I'll hand it back over to Amy.
Oops. Thank you, Kai. That sets the stage perfectly. So, as Kai mentioned, our goal of making CommCare more accessible is a direct response to the new reality we're all operating in. So, over the past year, we've spoken with many of you and we've heard a clear and consistent story. Your work is more critical than ever, but you're facing significant challenges. So, we've organized today's updates around the three core challenges that we're hearing from you that you're facing. First, you're operating with leaner teams that are often being asked to do more with fewer resources. Second, you're navigating increasing global complexity, from new data privacy regulations to the operational hurdles of cross-border programs. And finally, you're dealing with tighter budgets, forcing you to maximize the value of every single dollar and every single tool in your stack. And these aren't just abstract concepts, they're the daily realities of your work, and they're the challenges that are guiding our work at Dimagi as we're working on CommCare. So let's start by digging into lean teams. I'm going to hand it back to you, Kai, to take over.
Thanks. So, as Amy just mentioned, the shifts in the development landscape this year have been significant. We've all followed the news about the changes that's happened in aid funding, but I think it's important to also say that many of you are directly feeling this new reality. So it means that teams have seen staff cuts, but the mission and the scope of the work hasn't shrunk. So in many cases, they've actually grown. And this pressure often falls upon the program staff themselves, those non-technical users who are now required to build, deploy, and manage these complex digital tools on their own. And responsibilities that might have once fallen on a larger team or maybe a dedicated tech team is now just a part of their day-to-day job. And that leads directly to the third point, which is in this environment, self-service capabilities are no longer a nice to have in platforms. They're absolutely essential. You need tools that are powerful, but also intuitive enough to be used without a specialized person holding your hand, helping you set it up and helping guide you through that entire process. So the core challenge we set out to solve is this. How do we make CommCare so intuitive and accessible that smaller, non-technical teams can not only manage it, but also thrive with it? So I'll walk you through the 4 key updates that we did to address just this problem. The first is one of the most exciting updates we had, which was the CommCare Companion. So this is an AI-powered support assistant built right into the platform that gives you instant answers and guidance, saving you valuable time. Second, we've made numerous case management updates, which combined UI improvement, training resources, UX changes to essentially make that feature easier to master. Third is bulk case data editing, which gives you the ability to clean hundreds of thousands of cases all at once directly in CommCare without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. And then finally, smart performance alerts. So these are alerts that provide proactive guidance to help non-technical users build faster, but also more performant apps from the beginning. So why don't we take a closer look at the first one of these, which is the CommCare Companion. Before we get into that demo, I do want to talk a little bit about what this is. So it's an AI-powered guide that works alongside with you, and it's built directly into the CommCare HQ platform. And we know that when you're stuck, the last thing you want to do is spend hours digging through documentation or emailing support. And our support team is amazing, but then you have to wait for their response. And then there's this back and forth feedback cycle that you saw a lot of our partners get caught in. And so what the companion is designed to do is just eliminate that wait time altogether. So it provides instant step-by-step guidance right where you're working. And if you have a question, you can just ask it. It's available 24/7. And it also works in multiple languages as well. So some of the most common languages are supported. And so it's a powerful resource, not just for teams that speak English, but also for global teams as well. I also want to flag that it's built on Dimagi's own Open Chat Studio, which means we are able to sort of control that bot, control the AI powering it, and we're also able to constantly evaluate and improve its performance and make it more helpful. So it's one thing for me to sit here and talk to you all about it, but it's also another to see it in action. So I'm actually going to pass it over to Rishabh, who's going to give you a live demo.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Guy. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen here really quickly. There we go. I assume everyone can see my screen. Perfect. So first things first, I wanted to just take a minute and help people see exactly where you can enable the bot. So I'm on my project space in CommCare, and you will see that I've navigated to the project settings. And within that, there's feature previews where you can see the CommCare Companion AI support bot as an option. So you just want to make sure that you enable it and update. Once it's enabled, you'll be able to see the need help icon on the bottom right, as you can see on my screen. So with that, I'm just going to show you what it actually looks like when you're trying to use the bot while you're building your applications within CommCare. So here I'm on my form builder. And as you can see, I've got this robust application. I'm within the registration form, and I would like some help. So all I have to do is click on that little icon, and this window pops up for me. And from here, I can either prompt it with my own query, or I can start with some of these pre-built ones. So if I clicked on this, we'll just give it a few seconds to come up with a response. The bot would then prompt asking what exactly we need help with. So I'm going to take an example here. So you see that in my form, I have a question called date of birth. And this might be a common use case for folks who've been using CommCare. You would want to do calculations, for example, based off date of birth, what is the age in years, for example. So let's see if the bot can help us with something like that. So I'm going to prompt it and say, calculate age in years based on date of birth, send it. And as you can see, you can maximize it. You can also have it just show up in the corner. And there we go. You'll see that not only does it give us the exact syntax we need, it also provides additional information, helping us understand exactly what to do with this. So I'm going to take this, collapse the screen, go to my hidden value where I want to place this. And you'll notice now it's also prompting me to change the reference to the specific question. So all I have to do now is take this date of birth and push it in there. And with that, we've been able to successfully use the bot to create this calculation, which otherwise a lot of folks, including myself in the past, would have had to sort of look at a lot of documentation, maybe read through the wiki, look at some examples. It's especially helpful, at least for me, for putting the right syntax when I'm doing some complex calculations, when I'm building apps. So this is obviously just one example. There's many more, and we'd hope that you'll test it out whenever you get a chance. Back to you, Kai.
Thanks, Rishabh. Yeah, we're super excited. It's one of our first forays into responsible use of AI and LLMs in our platform. We're going to continue on that path responsibly. But yeah, it's the ceiling for it is high, and there's so much you can do. So we recommend people turn it on and give it a try. So the second update I want to talk a little bit about, related to the lean teams that we see in our industry now, is what we consider to be CommCare's superpower, which is case management. So I'm sure many of you know, especially since many of you already use CommCare, but robust longitudinal case management is what really has from the beginning set CommCare apart from simple one-off survey tools. And we wanted to make this core strength even easier to unlock for people. So we've rolled out a series of powerful updates, some very small and some a bit larger, but all of which sort of snowball up to helping you understand and unlock what case management means from the start. And some of these are simple changes, but we hope that what it does is it saves you a lot of headache down the road. We've also expanded a lot of our data collection capabilities in the product directly. So you can collect rich data such as attachments or signatures directly from web apps, as many of our platforms are becoming more and more browser-based projects as well. And finally, to support all of that, we've launched a brand new, beautiful free course on the Dimagi Academy that's focused exclusively on case management. And it's a fantastic resource. I really like it myself, and it'll help your teams master some of these powerful features on our platform. So taken together, hopefully these enhancements make it so much simpler for any user to build and use case management and really unlock your projects altogether. So just to show what a few of these key improvements look like this year, I'm going to actually hand it right back over to our demo master, Rishabh.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kai. And like I mentioned, these are great features that have been added. The first of which is this enhancement for case management, especially when you're starting out to build out a new application. I'm deliberately starting afresh so that folks who've not used CommCare before can also have a glimpse of how simple it really is to set things up on our form builder. So here, once you're in your form builder and starting fresh, you have this option to click on Add. And because we're talking about case management, I'm going to choose the case list option here. And as soon as I do that, we now offer this dropdown where you can either choose an existing case type. So if you've already built out some applications within your project space and you'd like to link them up to this new one that you're building out, you can see from the dropdown exactly which case type you want to work with and have that selected. Or you can actually just type in a new one. So here you go. I'm saying I want patient, for example, and I can then quickly create that. And as soon as I do that, CommCare automatically, because it knows we're doing case management, sets up a module called case list and then sets up two of these forms as well. And then once we're inside those forms, we can set up our questions the way we want. So within this, the other cool feature that I really appreciate is how you can quickly move form content around, and now CommCare automatically highlights for you exactly where this needs to go. So here, for example, my first question was name. The second one I want to add is age. And I want to reference the name of the patient that I'm tracking. So if I take this, I can easily now see all of these highlighted sections within the form builder are telling me exactly where I can drop this. So if I wanted, I can easily say, I would like to drop it here and say age. And like that, I've got two questions set up. And with this enhancement, it gets very easy to move form content around, especially helpful when you're trying to add things into default values or required conditions, display conditions, so on and so forth. And while you're doing this, for the folks who haven't had this experience of case management, I'll take maybe 2 seconds more to show you how simple it really is. So once I've done that, I can quickly navigate to my Manage Case button. And with this, I have successfully created my form with just a couple of questions for now, but within a few seconds, I've been able to set this up and I have case management ready to go. So that was the first part of what Kai had mentioned on the case management enhancements. The other one is here on web apps. I've logged in already as a user into this application, and I'm just going to show you what we can now do with web apps. So previously, it wasn't possible to capture signatures or add images. Now you can easily do this right here. So you can see I have a signature capture question. I can start putting in a signature. That's not a great signature, but it's that easy. You can literally just put that in there. And then similarly, you can hit browse to also attach any media that you'd like. So I've got this image capture. I had this saved as a file on my computer. All I had to do was set it up. And it's as easy as that. Now we can have signatures and media captured within web apps as well, which can be used conveniently through browsers. And then finally, this is the new course for case management that we have launched for all of you. This is just a quick glimpse to show you all the different sections it has. It has different units that get into detailed lessons on all the different aspects of case management. And I think I can assure you that once you've gone through this course, you would be mastering case management in CommCare in no time at all. Perfect. That's all I had. Back to you, Kai.
Thanks, Rishabh. Yeah, hopefully all of these small incremental improvements encourage everyone to give case management a try if you haven't done it yet. So we've talked a little bit about setting up case management. We've talked a little bit about creating and collecting that data. So now I want to talk about this third piece, which is what to do once you have the data in your system. And let's talk about managing that data. So if you have a list of thousands of cases that maybe just need a small update or they need pretty big bulk updates, historically, you would always have to export that data into Excel, make the requisite changes, carefully re-import them, cross your fingers, hope nothing breaks. And then it's a process that could take hours. It increases the risk of security issues because you are downloading local files on your device, and especially sensitive information as well. And this is a error-prone process. So we are really proud to announce that we've released a bulk data editing feature. And with this feature, you can now update hundreds of thousands of cases directly within the CommCare platform. So there's no need now to export and re-import case data anymore from Excel if you don't want to do that process. Because it has a built-in preview and bulk data editing, bulk preview and visibility tools, you can be confident that you're keeping your data clean and credible without risking an import error. It's also a massive time saver for many approval workflows and also just data cleaning in general. So to see how easy this is, I'll actually pass it right back over to Rishabh.
Great. Thanks so much, Kai. All right. So if you all can see my screen here, you'll now see that I've navigated to the data tab in my project space. And on the panel on the left, I've selected bulk edit case data. This is exactly the feature that Kai was just talking about. Once we land on the screen, CommCare prompts us to select a case type. Within this list, I can go in and pick up any of the case types that I'm working with on my current project space. I'm going to select household member deliberately, because when I do that, CommCare then tells us that there's an existing session. As you can see here, I already have one active, which I kept there deliberately. So there's no chance of overwriting anything. CommCare is going to tell you if there's an active session that you can work on, or if you'd like to start a new one. Had I selected another case type, which wasn't over here, it would automatically start a new session. So I'll say I want to start a new session and then click the start button. And as soon as I do that, CommCare automatically loads all of those cases for that particular case type for me. So if I scroll to the bottom of the screen, you can see that I have 399 such cases. Had I needed to do a bulk edit on these, previously I would have to use Excel, make changes in there, upload it, end up doing a lot of sort of error management and troubleshooting, so on and so forth. But now I have all of this visibility in product. There's this option to filter my cases. So I don't need to work with the entire set of cases. CommCare allows me to configure exactly which columns I want to see and also filter them based on conditions. So let's look at each of those things one by one. Let's say that I'd like to configure my columns to not show me these fields, for example, so I can quickly just do away with them. And let's say it's the age, the gender, and maybe just to throw in a new one, the relationship to the head of the household that matter to me for this particular editing that I'm doing. So now you'll notice that I've got the same count of cases, but now my columns have changed. I can also click on this show white spaces option to see if there's any leading spaces at all in the data that I've collected and fix that as well. And then I can actually filter this out to a smaller subset. So let's say within this, I'm actually only interested in looking at cases where the age is greater than 80. So you'll see in the background, CommCare has automatically filtered this out to the 47 cases right here. What I'm going to do now is select all of them. If I scroll down, you'll notice that by default, we see the first 25 listed on the screen. You can, of course, change that view by changing it over here. And then on the top, CommCare also tells you to select all the cases if you want to work with all of them. So let's say, here's what I want to do. I've selected all my 47 cases. I'm now going to click on Edit Selected Cases. And I'm going to say that I want to swap the gender to male, just as an example. And when I do that, you'll notice again in the background, I've been able to see a preview of the edits that I want. And you can see that for all of these individual cases, I can see that edit. In case there's a discrepancy, I can fix it right here. So I don't need to commit to this edit. And it's not as opaque as an Excel sheet where you would potentially figure out errors post the fact. So this saves a lot of time. As soon as I click on apply, I get this additional pop-up, which is again telling me clearly what CommCare is going to be doing, which is changing this value for the gender case property for these 47 records. All I have to do now is keep my fingers crossed and wait for that update to happen successfully. This little bar here is showing me that it is done. So you'll see that I get two options again on the screen. So I can either continue editing this if I want to work on more edits with the same data set that I'm working with, or if I want to exit the session. So if I click on exit, it automatically takes me back to this main screen. And because we have this record here, I can actually go back in and be able to quickly see exactly what changes have been made, or go back and start doing more edits if I need to. That's all I had to show on the bulk edit feature. Back to you, Kai.
Thanks, Rishabh. Yeah, incredibly excited that we finally released the bulk case data editing feature. And I encourage everyone to give it a try as well. So last update I want to talk about when it comes to supporting our lean teams is what's called smart performance alerts. So as many of you know, it's easy to keep adding case properties and your application just keeps growing. But too many case properties and too many forms, for example, can quickly start to slow down any app that you're using, especially if you're in hard to reach or lower resource settings. And this can be a frustrating experience to frontline workers. And frontline workers are the people that we keep in front of our minds all the time as we design CommCare. And the challenge here is that a non-technical user shouldn't have to be a performance engineer or an engineer in general to know when your app is getting too complex. So that's why we've built these alerts. Now, CommCare provides real-time in-product guidance directly on the page if your application is at risk of slowing down. It'll alert you before the number of case properties reaches a critical point, and we're going to continue adding more and more information on the screen, letting you know that, hey, you might want to rethink some of these actions you're doing because they are dangerous or they are, potentially non-performant. And you can see an example here on the screen of what one of these alerts might look like when you're in, for example, the data dictionary. So to kind of bring it all together for this first section of our product updates with the AI-powered companion, easier case management, first bulk data editing tool we've developed, performance alerts. Um, we're on a mission to deliver more intuitive and accessible features and just make CommCare in general more intuitive for our users. And what we hope that means is that smaller, leaner teams can meet some of those bigger expectations. So that wraps up this part. So I'm going to hand it back over to Amy, who will introduce our next section.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kai, for sharing those amazing updates and to Rishabh for those fantastic demos. We've covered a lot today, and yeah, I'm really excited about so many of these updates. I'm especially a big fan of the new CommCare Companion chatbot, so highly recommend turning that on and testing that out. Let us know if you've got any feedback. Bulk case editing is just so incredibly powerful. We've heard such good feedback from partners already on that. So if you're on the advanced plan, definitely check that out. And just really thrilled to see the ways that we're making case management so much easier and more intuitive to use, including that awesome new Academy course, which I highly recommend taking. So in this next section, we're going to be talking about global complexity and the ways that CommCare is stepping up to support you in managing it. So with that, I'm going to hand it right back to you, Kai.
Thank you. So let's dive into that second challenge, global complexity. Operating internationally and as an international company ourselves has become quite a paradox these days. So while our work is more interconnected than ever, the digital and regulatory environments and barriers are getting higher and higher. We're seeing stricter data residency requirements from funders and governments. And it's not just about GDPR anymore, it's much more complex. There's a growing web of local privacy laws, compliance mandates, et cetera, that global programs and even smaller local programs have to navigate. And at the same time, your programs must be able to operate fluidly across different countries, geographies, cultures, et cetera. And in critical situations, especially if we think about our partners in urgent humanitarian response, these technical barriers simply just can't be the thing that slows down your work. So the fundamental question for us this year became, how do we lower these technical barriers to help you work internationally while still meeting the highest standards for security and compliance? And so I'm excited to show you two of the advancements we've made this year to meet just that challenge. The two advancements, one is we do have new cloud locations where you are able to store your data and ensure that you meet some of the regulatory requirements that you need to follow. And then secondly, we are introducing and we have introduced AI-based translations into the platform, which keeps your platform up to date in many different languages without having to do a thing. So let's talk a little bit about these two. For our new cloud locations, I'm super proud and happy with our team for having released this, which helps you decide where your data lives. So starting now, CommCare projects can be hosted in any of three secure regions. So we have our existing cloud location in the United States. We have an EU-based cloud in Ireland, and then an India-based cloud in Mumbai. And this is a direct response from what we've heard from you all. So whether it's an internal policy, a specific funder requirement, or a national law, you can now meet those data requirements, data residency requirements, and choose where your projects are hosted. And I hope it's clear to everybody that this is the full CommCare experience for each of these locations. So the mobile and web apps, offline capabilities, integrations, all of these are identical and consistent across the regions. You get the same power, The same enterprise grade security, you just get to choose where it is. So that covers where your data lives, but the next piece of global complexity is language. So we are breaking down communication barriers by making the entire CommCare HQ interface more available and starting with 9 key languages. So we've used an AI platform to help keep all of the language on HQ up to date, so your team members can work in one country and another country, use the same platform, but just see the different language on the screen, and hopefully unlock many of your program builders and managers. So as you can see, this support includes Arabic, French, Spanish, Hindi, Swahili, and many more, actually. And this is a huge step in making our platform truly global and meeting you where you are. So with new cloud locations and expanded language support, we're making it easier than ever to run a complex global program. And so this brings us to our third and final challenge that we wanted to talk about today. So I'll actually hand it over to Amy to introduce that.
Thanks so much, Kai, for sharing those updates. And we're already seeing many new and existing partners open project spaces on the EU and the India clouds. And so many of you are working across borders and languages. So I'm really thrilled with the new language capabilities in CommCare. So I want to turn us to our final chapter of this webinar and our final theme, which is perhaps the most obvious one that we're all dealing with, which is tighter budgets. Funding for many of the incredible programs you work on has been dramatically cut, and that impacts the tools that you use to run them. So with that, I'm going to invite Kai back on to share how CommCare is evolving to support the reality that you're facing of tighter budgets.
Thanks, Amy. So this is something that's impacted nearly everybody in this sector. I'd be hard pressed to find anybody on this call now who hasn't been who hasn't been impacted by this. And the significant funding cuts, particularly from major sources like USAID, has created immense pressure on organizations of all sizes. And honestly, the difficult reality here is that while these resources are being reduced, the expectation of delivering impact hasn't changed at all. So in fact, the need for your work is greater than ever. And so this puts a microscope on every single dollar you're spending. And it's no longer about having a tool that can just has this long list of features that doesn't provide a ton of value, but it looks nice. It has to demonstrate a return on investment. And more importantly, it has to scale with you in value, not just in complexity. So you need a digital tool to be a force multiplier for your team. And that's a non-negotiable. So our challenge here was clear. How do we not only make CommCare more affordable, but also ensure that every dollar you're spending and investing into CommCare delivers more value to your programs? So we approach this from 2 different angles. And so I will talk about those both now. First, it was to lower the cost barrier to using CommCare. And so we've made the standard plan more accessible. And then secondly, we're helping you get more value through the expansion of new use cases like cash voucher assistance and emergency response, all on the same platform that you're already using. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amy, who will share a little bit about what's included in that new plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kai. So starting in April this year, we slashed the price of our CommCare standard plan down from $250 a month to just $100 a month. And the response has been really incredible. I wanted to spend a moment to underscore how powerful this plan is by sharing a couple core pillars. So first, it allows you to do better data collection with built-in service delivery benefits. The no-code app builder that allows anyone to quickly build mobile, web, messaging apps that not only collect critical data, but also guide your frontline teams through best practices and protocols. Second, the standard plan allows for powerful case management for end-to-end client support. The system provides decision support and rich engagement for any setting, even offline. And third, a secure foundation you can trust. We've built everything on our open source, professionally managed foundation with dedicated tech support and top-tier security that meets the most rigorous standards, including GDPR and SOC 2 compliance. And it's really easy to get started. So many of you are already using CommCare, but if you're not, all you need to do, go to commcarehq.org, create your free edition account, and then you can select your chosen plan and subscribe. You don't need to talk to anyone unless you want to. We're always here to help answer questions about what plan might be right for you, for your program. And now for our final update, I'll hand this back to Kai, who's going to take us through how we're delivering more value on the same platform.
Thanks, Amy. So that new plan is a huge step in making CommCare more affordable. And I want to talk about a second part, which is the solution for tighter budgets around getting more value from a single platform, as she said. And something that we've championed for years, which is becoming more and more required practice, is using one tool for all of your programmatic needs. And with CommCare, you can certainly do that. You can run your data collection, service delivery, and M&E, and then add new use cases as your programs and your organization expands and grow. So to make this more tangible, we're formalizing our support for several different high-value workflows. And for example, we are seeing many partners who are adding cash and voucher assistance programs to their global portfolio of programs. And so to make this easier, we have a cash voucher assistance template application built on industry best practices, built with some of our closest partners that we can share with you. And this gives you honestly a huge head start when it comes to setting up these digital cash transfer and tracking voucher use. Another growing area is child sponsorship. So we've created a template app for child sponsorship that helps you monitor child well-being, strengthen the connection between sponsors and children, and this is another way in which you can get a massive head start. And then finally, in emergency response, where speed is critical, CommCare equips frontline teams to rapidly collect and share that data for faster, more coordinated relief efforts. We have a dedicated resource page with case studies, deployment examples, et cetera, for anybody working in that sector. And so the key update here is we're hoping we make it easier than ever to get started on some of these common but complex workflows that we're seeing in our industry. And if you're interested in this cash and voucher assistance or child sponsorship template apps, feel free to reach out to us. We can share those resources with you, help copy them directly into your project space, and get you started. So hopefully by enabling more use cases on one platform, you reduce the need for multiple vendors, multiple training sessions, paying for the training overhead, et cetera. And ultimately, you're able to therefore deliver more impact with your existing resources. So that covers all of my updates for today, actually. And I'm happy to pass it right back over to Amy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kai. So before we jump into Q&A, so feel free to be adding your questions into the Q&A. I want to take a moment and hear from each of you. So we're going to pop up a poll on your screen, and just take a moment to share with us. What are you most excited about that you saw today? What use cases? So Kai just mentioned a few new use cases. What use cases would you want to see us support? And what CommCare features would you like to see us add to the product? And I'll leave this open for the next 30, 60 seconds or so. This is your chance to really have some input on our product decisions going forward. So thank you for taking a moment to share. All right, I'm seeing a lot of excitement for the CommCare Companion so far. About half of you have said that you're very excited about that one. Quarter view, bulk case editing. Few of you saying new use case templates. That's awesome. Yeah, this is really helpful. All right, and while you're adding in your answers there, I'll keep moving us along. One more update before we get into the Q&A. So I do want to highlight, I know that Sarah's been sharing some really great resources in the channel for folks. And I want to highlight a couple of just key resources to keep in mind as you're working in CommCare. So beyond joining a webinar like this one or reaching out to our team, we've got some really fantastic resources out there to support you. So one is you can check out our roadmap. So this is our roadmap for what's coming within CommCare, and it's also a place where you can add ideas for new features. So if you didn't think of something on this webinar and you have ideas, or as you're working, things come to you, we'd love to see what ideas you have for how we can improve CommCare. You can also, the second link here is to our product updates. So this is a page on our help site where we are posting our product updates every quarter. So in between webinars, it's a great place to check out and just kind of dig into all of the latest and greatest stuff that the product team is building. And lastly, our Get Started page is a really fantastic place, chock full of resources to get you up and running on CommCare in terms of tutorials and guides and trainings and all of that. So really trying to make it easy to get up and going with CommCare. All right, and then it looks like the poll has just ended. Yeah, just reading out the results here, it looks like we are about a third of you said the CommCare Companion was your favorite update, 20% enhanced case management, 25% bulk case editing, and then a few others for the other ones. So that's really, really helpful to see. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. All right. We have about 12 minutes left for Q&A. And so happy to take any and all questions. So feel free to pop into the Q&A box and add any questions. I know we've been answering a bunch of questions as we've gone, which has been great. But if there are other questions that are coming to mind for you that you would like us to dig into, we would love to respond. Just looking here. So I see one. Okay. All right. We've got one new question from Koya Chu, which is it possible to edit once the data collected and is sent to the server? So I'm going to take this one to, I guess, Kai or Rishabh. Anyone
Yeah,
want to jump?
I'm happy to answer. For sure, definitely you are able to edit the data once you collect the data, and even if it's sent to the server. So much of this editing, bulk data editing, all of that is, you can do it once it hits your server and you have it in your database. So yeah, no worries there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Let's see, we've got another one from that's asking, like ODK or Kobo, do you have shareable one-click download option of data?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We definitely have the ability to download data super quickly on our platform. Not sure if it's one click, but definitely you are able to download and share data with others. We are very serious about data security at Dimagi, so we don't have any sort of public links for data downloading data or publicly shareable links or anything like that, because we do put security front in mind. But yes, definitely easy to share data with many of your staff within your organization. And if you have specific questions about how to set up a lot of data sharing processes, happy to help out.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Kai, of just how important the data security piece is, and the sounds of one-click download of data sounds a little bit risky. So keep that in mind. Question from Tariq, what about the languages templates? Not sure I fully understand that question. What about the languages? Oh, I guess maybe are the template apps in different languages? That might be the question. Yeah, Kai or Rishabh, are you okay to answer that? And then Tariq, if I'm misunderstanding the question, feel free to re-add it.
Sure. any of our apps that you have on the platform can be translated to any language that you would like. So check out our translation section of our wiki. We have the automated AI translations for the actual web interface itself, but for the apps, you can actually just essentially translate any string that you want into any language that you want. So we actually give the power back to you to define that.
Okay, great. Um,
Amy, can I add a point to that? It might not have
sure.
been clear from the GIF on the slide, but the language selection is directly in product. So as you're signing in, there's a little icon sort of in the top menu bar. It might say English, and then you just click it. It's got a drop down, and you can select your language of choice.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Let's see. So Koichu has a follow-up. I think it might make sense to maybe do like a one-on-one with you, Koichu, on some of your questions in terms of a demo on that. So feel free to, before you close out, you can ask to get in touch with us and have a one-on-one conversation. So that might be a good place to get some of these answered. Yeah, so there's a poll up that you can respond to at any point if you do want to have someone follow up with you from CommCare. But we've got 8 more minutes, so I'll keep going through some of these questions that I see. Okay. There's some good ones here. Sorry, I'm just picking and choosing. A comment from Dawkins Camera, which is, I'd like to see bulk add of case properties in CommCare.
I would love
Yeah.
to take this one. Dawkins, you can use the data dictionary. You can export and import case properties directly. So yes, we have it. Go play around with the data dictionary. I know you could do it, and I know you'll be good at it. So go check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, and feel free if you want to follow up on that. We're happy to. Any plan of integration with CommCare with the App Store?
Yeah, good question. I'm curious what exactly about the App Store you are curious about integration with, but CommCare is found on the Google Play, the App Store. Maybe this means the iPhone App Store. And if it means the iPhone App Store, then we don't have an iOS application right now. You can load CommCare web apps on iPhones and use it there. It is completely usable. So that is one way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say I think it's one of those things that if we saw a lot of demand for CommCare on iPhones, it's something we would consider, but it hasn't been something that we see a lot of so far. So feel free to follow up with us if that's something it's really a blocker for you. All right. This is a great question. For an organization from Nigeria, which cloud location will be suitable to select?
Also happy to take. It's totally up to you. So we try not to dictate where you should have your data. In fact, we're trying to present you with all of the options available and the information available so that you can make the most informed choice for your organization. So, this could be the India server for some reason. It could be the US, it could be EU, but it's totally up to you. So I would talk to your team around what sort of regulatory environment you're working in there, where if you have any specific compliance issues with data being housed in the US or data being housed somewhere else. And then once you have that information available, pick the right cloud location for you.
Yeah, I think our goal here is to really give the choice to organizations to make that call. So we don't want to be prescriptive on where your data should live. But really great question. So thank you for that. Okay. Is it possible to use data quality management on bulk based on specific condition rules?
It's a really interesting question. I think the way I would answer that question is that you can do this through a couple different ways on CommCare. It totally depends on what sort of rules and what sort of data quality conditions you have. So if it's something around duplicates, you can set your own custom rules around what duplicates look like and what sort of duplicates you want to, keep an eye out for. And you can set up those duplicate rules right in CommCare directly. We have, just the validations directly within CommCare that you can set up to check things like duplicates as you're registering people, or maybe data that's outside the bounds of what you want to collect. So that's something you can do. And then focusing on bulk. Another thing you can do is, let's see, like bulk case update actions. So you can actually trigger rules based on specific criteria on cases and then do some cleaning or do some updating there. So if it's bulk case or bulk data quality management that you're interested in, we don't have a single feature that does this for you, but we've actually designed the platform to have a whole bunch of different ways in which you could do this.
Awesome. Thank you, Kai. Next question. I love this question. Do you have any Spanish speaking advisors? And I think I can take this one, which is yes, we do. If you follow up and want to chat with us, we have an incredible team member who is a Spanish speaker and we have several Spanish speakers on our team. So I don't know, Erin, if you want to add to that one at all, beyond the yes.
Nope, just we have Eric and a few other folks on our team, both on partnership side and on the customer success side, who speak Spanish. So they're happy to work with you for whatever you need.
And I have one last question, which is around the CommCare companion. I saw a lot of folks really excited about the CommCare companion. So hopefully we'll see folks turning that on and playing around with that. I'm curious, and this is a question maybe for you, Erin, what are you seeing? How are you seeing partners using the CommCare companion?
Amy, it's not just partners. I use it too. You can really so this might be a little bit of my personality coming out, but I would say just ask it anything and see what sort of answer it gives you. You can ask it anything from more broad sort of design type questions like should I make this a child case or not? You can ask it like app design questions, so very meta, like 20,000 foot level questions. You can also ask it, and this is probably my favorite use of it, when you are stuck and you can't figure out what you're doing wrong, you can ask it a question. So one thing, I don't know how many of you go in and write calculations in CommCare, but if you've ever gotten, when you're in the calculation box and you press save and it tells you you have an error and it tries to point you where your error is, but you're like, I don't really know what I did wrong. It's phenomenal. All I do is copy and paste what I have and I say, can you tell me where my error is? And it almost always can figure out where my error is and what I should do to fix it. And we actually have a video of that as well. It can give you a copy and pasteable thing to paste back in. Anytime you're stuck, just go to the bot, see what happens. You can always email our support team if you didn't get the answer you need. But I've really been shocked in a positive way at how many questions it's able to just spit out the right answer for me right away and save me so much time.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. And I've also had a lot of fun playing around with the bot and getting answers. So with that, we're just at the end of our time together. Thank you so much to everyone for joining today, to Kai and Rishabh for all of your contributions, to Erin, to Sarah, to Michael for behind the scenes support and Q&A support. And thank you to every single one of you for showing up today and being part of our incredible community. So for those of you who don't already use CommCare, you can sign up today, get started with our free edition, upgrade anytime. If you want to ask more questions, feel free to respond to the closing survey and we'll follow up with you and reach out directly. Lastly, I'll close it with a shameless plug for our podcast, which I co-host with our CEO, where we speak with leaders across global health and development about the ways that technology can and needs to step up to support this current moment. And you can also check us out on LinkedIn. That's a great place to hear updates about events, CommCare tips, resources, insights from across our global team as Dimagi. So thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, and take care.